Welcome everyone to our second live stream on our fantastic new YouTube channel. I'm Adam, of course, your host of the Ukraine Plus Football podcast, coming to you live and exclusive through YouTube tonight. As always, got these two wonderful gentlemen here by my side and underneath me, depending on how you're looking. It's Mr. Zorian London Sandro. How you doing, mate? You had a good week? You've been running around this country non-stop, it seems.
Yes, I am back in Kyiv. I'm currently in a hall in the Olympijski with slightly dodgy signal, but hopefully that will sort out in a minute. I might change rooms midway through this live stream. I just witnessed a 0-0, and I've also witnessed a 0-0 on Friday. I witnessed a battering of Zoria on Thursday, so it's been a long week.
It really has. It really has. We're never quite sure where you're going to rock up, if it's a McDonald's, if it's a Fora, or what's it going to be each week. It's like lucky dip. But it's great to have you with us, as always, though. And with a wonderful backdrop tonight, Ray. I'm loving that, mate. You got no expense spared for us. How you doing, fella? You had a good week?
Hello, guys. It's a pleasure to be here, and welcome to our second stream in history. The week was decent, Apart from all the results we didn't expect. I mean, I'm joking. Of course, it was obvious that it's going to happen that way. But still, we're going to discuss the future, and I hope I will have a stable connection. So tune in.
Yeah, definitely. Let's get it started. For those of you joining in, drop your comments in the chat box. We will be answering your questions during the show tonight. But look, let's get started with what is the biggest game in Eastern European football. The Clasichne just finished half hour ago. As Andrew said, he was in the stadium tonight. Looked like a killer atmosphere in there. Real live event going on. Bit of smoke at the end to just sort of finish off the evening in an enjoyable manner. How was it for you?
The match itself wasn't too interesting, to say the least. Some interesting points that I think we'll get through when we're actually talking about the match itself around the game was probably more interesting. Ironically, as these events always are in Ukrainian football for one reason or another, we saw the Shakhtar fans with a banner that said Lucescu, Judas Iscariot. So that was an interesting new dynamic to this feud between Lucescu and seemingly everyone in Ukraine. The ultras at the end, I think the Shakhtar ultras, there was a small pocket of them that weren't actually sitting in the official away end who let off some smoke. I think they were Shakhtar, really clear whether they were or not, but definitely seemed to be from that end. And then the Dinamo Ultras themselves had a banner that said, go away, rusty ones, or basically a play on words on orange in terms of Shakhtar. And they hung that banner outside the Shakhtar shop before the game and then hung outside their banner during the game. Decent turnout today. I don't know what the official numbers were, but was a good aura in the stadium. Just a shame that the actual football on the pitch didn't live up to it and we didn't see any goals.
Really, performance was pretty poor though, as you said there. I mean, Ray, did you manage to stay awake during the game? I've got to confess, I dropped off a couple of times during the match tonight. The standard on the pitch, I think, kind of backed up what we've been seeing in Europe this season.
Well, I wish it would look like anything we would like to see in Europe from our teams. But so far, I noticed this comment in one of the websites after the Varus Alexandria game, which ended up 0-0 as well, that we probably should be booking the league for such results. The broadcasters or the teams, anyone. But I have to say that after such 0-0 results and the game itself, it has a specific scent about it, a specific trademark outcome, because the 0-0 you get in UPL is not something you would get anywhere else. It's not like two buses are parked throughout the match. It was really entertaining with Dynamo and Shakhtar, and this was the outcome we did not expect. And it was quite interesting with various game as well, but we'll discuss that later, I hope. So I'm not disappointed by the game at all. You could tell that, as Andrew pointed out in our podcast, that Super Cup, it is a Mickey Mouse trophy, and Dynamo just gave it away to battle for the championship, as we saw tonight.
Yeah, watching it, I just felt there were no strikers on the pitch tonight. We know, obviously, Traore suffered that horrific injury in the intergame earlier in the week. Do you think De Zerbi got it right playing Pedrinho up front in this false nine? Kind of, we're going to play a striker, but he's not really a striker. And I was talking to Andrew before the show, and I personally felt from Shakhtar's side, if Dentinho even had been on the pitch from the start instead, or Danny Sikan had been on for longer up front, we might have seen just a little bit more sort of panic in the box, in Dynamo's box tonight from Shakhtar's side. What do you think, Ray?
As we saw in the closing minutes of the game, Dynamo can create troubles for themselves in their own box. So they don't need no Dentinho, of course, because Vitinho, as you said about the strikers, I could not agree with you on that one, Adam, because it seemed like Vitinho is the new Shevchenko now for Dynamo fans, at least after that game, because come on, such runs after the behind the defense, and such movement and such pace, and he had decent chances. Let's be fair. Let's just hope that they don't fire any translators from the team, and that they create an appropriate atmosphere for him in the dressing room, which is hard to believe in Dynamo's case, but well, at least a new Diogo Rincon, to be fair. So yeah, and that was one for the old timers. And if we talk about Shakhtar, then Shakhtar played Marlos as false nine before, and Dentinho shouldn't be playing tonight as it wasn't Real Madrid, right? So I would say that Dynamo had a better display in terms of attack this time, but overall, yeah, I would agree that it was an Inter scenario tonight, same as we saw during the week.
I mean, Andrew, who do you think comes out of the game happier? Shakhtar let's be honest, they dominated the second half there, and we saw Dynamo almost gave them a goal right at the death. Or Dynamo, with being able to keep the gap. You know, they're still 3 points ahead of Shakhtar going into the winter break. Who do you think is going to be happier tonight? You're on mute, mate. Microphone.
Definitely Dynamo, because they're still top of the table. Probably the win was less important for them than it was for Shakhtar to get themselves level on points back with Dynamo. So, yeah, I think it's more 3 points, 2 points lost for Shakhtar on the basis that the big loss was Traore. As we've already mentioned, that false nine doesn't work too well. It's not as... They put in a lot of crosses today into the box that no one got at the end of. You know, Pedrinho, Alan Patrick, the likes of that. And then they only started getting going a bit better when Sikan came on. He had a few chances, few half chances, really, nothing that great. But ultimately, I think they played a bit better when he was involved in the team. So we will see how that goes. But I think Dynamo will be the happier of the two. They played a lot better than they did in the Super Cup, a lot more organised. They had a lot of counter-attacks, but ultimately just didn't have that final product to actually get a goal, score, or anything like that.
That's great. Hey, everyone, we can see Roman Bebex joined us again. Roman, good evening. Thanks for quickly jumping out of the commentating box and jumping on with us. How's everything over there? Did you enjoy the game tonight more than the Shakhtar Sheriff game the last time we spoke with you?
Sure. I enjoy because Ukrainian team don't lose, so it's good. I think it's good performance today. My colleague Sergei said he don't see goals, so it's not a good game. I not agree with him because it's not the main goals. I would like to speak about the level of the game, of the how intensity, what's the speed of the game. So I think it was a very good game, really.
I mean, I got to say, you've got a new nickname now. You are the sex instructor for us.
No, it's not about me. I'm about the football.
I know. Just talking in jest. I mean, who impressed you tonight out there on the pitch with their sort of technical?
For me, impressed the two coaches because I seen Roberto De Zerbi during the game, how he's motivate the team, how active how he runs during the game, and also Lucescu is strategic for this big El Clasico, Ukrainian classics. Lucescu would understand the level of his player. He understands that Zerbi has more technically player. So he plays start at defend and then try to make a quickly attack. I think it's good strategy for Dynamo, and it's worked today. We see a lot of moments during this game.
Yeah, and just can I get a couple of comments on the ultras today? We saw lots of banners instructing the rusty miners to get out of Kyiv and comments about Lucescu. What do you think about the rivalry, the intensity? Has it got better now that Shakhtar's home stadium is Olympijski? Are you enjoying it more as a commentator, having Shakhtar and Dynamo in the same city?
I think in the situation which we have in our country, we need to support Shakhtar, support clubs from the eastern Ukraine. So I not agree to attack the Shakhtar. That where they need to play, I don't know where. In Mariupol, why some people need to choose where they need to play? You know, I know Dynamo a little bit scary because Shakhtar is aggressive in his marketing politics. Yes, you know, they start to be in the stadium, then open the shop, then try to work with the fans. You know, it's need to motivate Dynamo work with the fans, because Dynamo has a lot of problem with this. They don't want to play with the fans, don't want to speaking with the fans to come to the Ukrainian league. Dynamo management think if people like football, they need to come, you know. But it's not like in Soviet Union, something changed, you know. Need to work all time communicate, and that's why I think it's a good that Shakhtar and Kyiv, they try to motivate Dynamo also to make some program to work with the fans.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen you on your show comment on it in the past, and Andrew, you were talking about it tonight. Can you just describe a little bit your attitude towards what goes on outside of the stadium with Parimatch or VBet, depending on who's sponsoring the club or the stadium, the activities that go on for supporters before the game, and does that help improve the atmosphere in the stadium?
I'd say a bit. It's mixed, really. It depends on the sponsor. I think during the Super Cup, there was a bit more excitement because there was like a cup to be won, that kind of thing. But today, when it's just a plain little game, you can win an iPhone. You could have won an iPhone pre-game, enter the competition, that kind of thing. But whether that actually attracts people to the stadium, I don't think it's that big. It's more maybe keeping the ones that come to the game there and maybe come back. But I don't think it's that much of a selling point that it's going to amazingly bring people. I think it's just that in general, there's a mindset and mentality that needs to change as a whole in Ukrainian society, which will probably take a long time. That you're not coming for when your team's playing a big team or something like that. It should be more ingrained. And I think we spoke about this the last time. It's difficult to actually instill that just maybe in the current climate, but also just people's mentalities are going to take a long time to get around to that. I only saw like one Mexican wave tonight, which was only in one sector, luckily. So that was a positive to begin with. The atmosphere was sort of created, well, more or less naturally, other than the actual stadium announcer getting a bit more involved, saying Dinamo, Dinamo, and then everyone else getting a bit more excited about things. But as a whole, I think it's going to take a bit more than a few pre-match entertainment bits to entice the fans to the stadium.
We've got a good comment there from Oleg in the chat. He mentions there about the requirements of having 4 Ukrainians on the field. Does it help Ukrainian football by having these guys on the pitch? I think the answer is quite obvious. But also, can you just get your opinions on De Zerbi's attitude towards the Ukrainian players? Would you like to see, my personal opinion, I would like to see Konoplia to have started today. I don't rate Dodo anymore as a right back. Would you like to see more of the Ukrainians from Shakhtar's side in particular playing in matches like this? Do they merit it at the moment on their performances, Andrew?
Definitely. Well, Konoplia quite well in a few matches, be it, you know, against Mariupol or the likes. I would have liked to see Mudryk get some minutes, but I'm just sure why he doesn't get this big. He's like not. De Zerbi's either like too afraid to play him, or he's not ready, or something like that. However, it's sort of the complete opposite for Dinamo, where their star man Sahankov, in my opinion, has completely regressed in 2021. He's not played well against any big side or shown anything serious. And I'm just struggling to see where he goes next. Like, will a big move actually come for him after seeing the regression? You know, we heard that someone like Everton or the likes were looking at him. Would he even fit their standards at the moment? Just seeing how he's playing, he's like not reaching the second balls. He's not sprinting that much. He can't even beat a man really a lot of the time. He's got a few key goals, like from the penalty spot or whatever, but ultimately, I'm just struggling to see what's happened to him. I'm just not sure.
But Andrew, now Tserenkov has a lot of at the first position, scorer in Dynamo. 7 goals, yes, 7 goals during this time. And I agree with you. In big games, he's not ready to play in big games. But today, he's tried to also play not only to attack, also work at the defense. It's good. He changed his mind about this during time with Lucescu. But I agree with you. He's not ready to play in, for example, in Premier League, English Premier League, or Bundesliga. He's not ready now.
Definitely not. Definitely not. I'm going to change tact just slightly here. I got a bit of criticism earlier this week when I labelled Vladan Yuchenko moving to Desna the worst transfer of the season. Now, I didn't mean it on a slight towards Desna, more that how on earth did a player of Vladan Yuchenko's quality and having played so well for Zorya last year end up at Desna? And did anybody see him play today? Is he match fit, Andrew? I mean, what happened there with him?
I've heard a lot of rumours saying that he just wanted too much money, really, for the clubs that were offering him. And obviously there was that rumour that Sheriff offered him a contract, which he rejected. Then when they were in the UCL, they sort of went back to him. But no one knows if that's true, and the player himself denied that. So it's a difficult one. Now, Roman, do you think that it's a bit of a backwards move, Yurchenko moving to Desna?
I think it's about what he's waited from Zorya, more interesting contract, and his level really good. He is one of the leader of Zorya, and he thinks he has a lot of proposition from another country, because in Ukraine, I don't think he's ready to play in, for example, Shakhtar, maybe Dynamo, maybe, but he's don't have very on this, and he's wait, and then I don't know why he has not come back to Zorya to call to the general director to say I'm ready to be in this team, because for me, Zorya is another level than Zorya. Than just now, he's go for the another position to down. I don't know. He's really very good guy, very clever, with good, interesting idea during the game, good passes, good technically. I don't know why he's go to this level. My friend, I need to go. Okay, thank you very much for this stream.
No worries. Thanks for
Nice
dropping
to
in.
hear
We
you.
really appreciate it. We really do.
Okay, bye.
Take care, everyone. Take care. But yeah, that one with Vladan Yurchenko really surprised me. There was talk, not only you said there Moldova, I heard clubs from Hungary and clubs in Poland were both interested in him as well. So yeah, agree completely with Roman that it's a weird one, and why he didn't go back to Zorya when he when he'd run out of all other options. Nobody knows, really doesn't. But Ray, welcome back, mate. Hope everything's okay. Let's talk a little about Vorskla. I mean, Mr. Till, well, the family, all the Phils, as I like to call them. I mean, they're tearing up Europe at the moment, aren't they? Big Brother scores in Bernabeu. And is there a better attacking midfielder in the UPL at the moment than Olivier?
I would say he's definitely the most artistic one in terms of cinematography. Every goal he scores can fill in any highlight of any league in Europe whatsoever. And this game, I mean, you mentioned Bernabeu. It seemed like the Butovsky Stadium in Poltava adapted some of the atmosphere from the UCL game into the Vorskla Invalids match, because the guys shouting Till's surname after he scored twice in Poltava, I've never experienced anything like it. Are they really counting on the third place again? And did they enjoy playing with who are these, Albanians or whatever? Finland team, who they conquered. Yeah, there was a real contest in Conference League. I mean, as I said, all bets are off, but that was a great game. And the goals he scored are actually quite alike with the ones his brother scored on Bernabeu against Real Madrid. So I have to say that was a pleasant game.
Really was. I mean, Vorskla, they're a funny bunch, aren't they, Andrew? Their star signing in the summer, coming in from the Kazakh league, scoring goals for fun, then dumped down to the youth team, and he was seen outside of Victoria's Secrets at Borispol Airport earlier this week instead of training with the youth squad. Where's it gone wrong for him? Is it just? I mean, like, you think Kazakh football, and all due respect to them, obviously Shakhtar knocked out Kolos out the Conference League. The national team have drawn both their matches in the qualification, but still sort of stereotypically, you see them at a lower level. So is it just that, goals in the Kazakh league do not result in goals in the UPL, or has something gone wrong with the manager there?
Well, his agent claims that it's the manager's. He doesn't really rate him at all. Hence the dropping into the youth team. And now we've seen that he's putting up polls on his Instagram saying, where am I going next? Iraq or Romania? And then he posted a photo of him in Milan. I don't know if that's actually like a live photo or what's going on. Maybe it was he was there for a day with a layover. I'm not sure why you need a layover for either of those locations. But yeah, a weird one, because I think he would definitely help them, even though they're playing relatively well at the moment. The only thing about Vorskla, as with the case of everyone below second in the league, complete inconsistency. Mm-hmm. You never know who they're going to lose to next. When the pressure gets to them, they just and it's a run of 2 or 3 losses or something like that. Someone plays out, and it's disappointing. And one thing I want to point out actually about that Vorskla game, Amilcar Kajovi has made his debut in the UPL, but he doesn't apparently, according to Transfer Market, his citizenship is only Spanish now, so doesn't count as an Englishman UPL debut. Apparently, according to Transfer Market, we might get some clarification on that over the coming weeks or whatever. But for now, it's all resting on Kadeem Harris's shoulders once he gets promoted with Methodist.
Definitely so. Definitely so. It's, I mean, transfer market is the gospel, of course, of honest reporting. So all credit to them. Well, now, one of the other sort of inconsistent teams, and good news for the national team. Those of you listening at home, don't go away. We will talk about national teams soon. But Dovbyk broke his goal-scoring drought, and my God, what a goal it was. Van Basten-esque. I mean, it was sort of Van Basten sort of Mark II. It really was. Smacked it in from such a tight angle. More Roberto Carlos even would be a better definition of it. But, I mean, the game was in Ternopil. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, the national team aren't using Arena Lviv for another sort of 10 days. Why Ternopil, and why couldn't they use there? I mean, it just seems weird to me, Andrew.
It's a weird one, but it's pretty common. We went to the Lobanovsky back in August, remember, Adam, for those matches, and that was for the same reason. A good few, at least a week plus before the national team plays on the pitch, they bring in, well, they just try and preserve it as best as they can, probably to save on cost of having to fix any issues with the pitch or anything like that. Just make sure that the lawn is all good for Zbirna when they end up playing there. Which, I mean, fair enough. I don't know how difficult it is for clubs like Lviv to relocate or anything like that. But, you know, I don't think it was that detrimental at the end of the day in terms of support, because we know that the likes of clubs like FC Lviv aren't that well supported anyway, sadly. But yeah, that Dovbyk goal, amazing, and hopefully it'll give him a bit of confidence just as at the right time when we're going into the national team stuff.
As we said, you know, he's the sort of he's a confident striker, isn't he? And does get goals back to back. So get him started in Finland next or later this week or next week. I'm not quite sure what day we're on now. Well, we've got time for one more club to discuss here. Well, let's chuck two of them in together now. Mariupol. It's all gone drastically wrong there, hasn't it, Ray? Now, I look at their squad, and we see. I watched the Kolos Chornomorets game on Saturday lunchtime as well. Now, both teams famed for their sort of reserves and taking their youths from Shakhtar and Dinamo. Is it a case of they've just got their policy wrong and they desperately need to get some experience in? For any Brits listening, you'll remember Alan Hansen saying you don't win anything with kids. Now it seems that Marek and Chornomorets are aiming for relegation with their kids. Is that where they've got it so wrong, or is it something else in your opinion?
It's it's something which catches up with them, you know, at some point. If you push the situation too hard, you should expect it to push back, and it hits them right in the face. They're not able to face it. They're not able to control it. They are, and even with the coach, which we admired, let's say, at some point we admired him, Ostap Markevich, last season. Now it's quite one-sided, and there's no flip side to that coin, and there's just no solution at that point. And maybe, I mean, we know that when they played in Persha Liga, they were destroying everyone. They were just damaging they were so on top of everyone. And that's why maybe they need it. Maybe they need to sell some of their veterans, like these defensive midfielder, Max Czech. I mean, we mentioned him a couple of times last season again, and maybe him and a couple of other guys like Ocheredko try it out in Poland, Slovakia, Finland, Bosnia, whatever. Let's try to sell them tonight. I don't know. Let's start. Let's open the market. So yeah, that's how I see it.
Right, fair enough. Now, before we switch over, for those of you listening at home, I want your opinion on this. Last week, there was a viral clip from the Veres Rivna game of one of the Veres Rivna players, Andrew. Who was his name?
Oh,
put you on the spot there, didn't I?
No,
I really did. We'll get.
I'll find it.
I've really got it there.
Serhii Panasenko.
Yeah, but singing the national anthem, well, just belting it out with all the passion that is seen elsewhere. Now, some of the various players have caught laughing about it, and he's been a bit ridiculed. Now, I want to know, do we want to see the national team singing the national anthem with such pride, or do we want it with a bit more sort of decorum and a bit more reserved? Which way would we like it to go? Do we want it to be Italian, or do we want it to be Icelandic cool? Okay, if you just whack the comments, we'll let you know later on in the show. But as we're doing that now, national team, we have got a couple of special guests lined up to come and join us in a minute. But before we do, Andrew, what's the situation with the squad now as we head into the national team week?
Well, we've got there's an early start, a few days a bit longer than we had in September, and the team are going to link up from tomorrow ahead of Saturday's game, so a good 5 days to prep. As we mentioned in a previous podcast of a few weeks ago, the star man of Ukrainian football at the moment, Ruslan Malinovsky, is not involved despite being in top form. He's had a falling out with the manager. He was been claimed that he was offended for not starting. Then the manager actually publicly admitted this. Then the player himself denied it. It was all a bit of a crazy talk, and then a scandal has erupted now. The fact that he's not been called up at all for this side. So I think that's going to be the main talking point, at least for the first few days of this new camp. And then you've got other players such as Serhii Buletsa, who's got another call up. And in general, I think it's going to be an enjoyable next 10 days or so to see whether Ukraine can continue their drawing run of just of goal draws. But we will see.
Now, as you see, Rich and Adnan, welcome to the show. For those at home, we've got Adnan Salman now. Adnan is in Sarajevo. Adnan has been a goalkeeping coach for a number of years, been coaching now for FC Sarajevo, and been busy all weekend with matches. Good evening, Adnan. How's everything with you?
Good evening, everybody. Thank you, Adam, for inviting me. Everything is okay in Sarajevo, especially me. I hope everybody else are okay.
Good to hear from you. And Rich Nelson. Now, Rich, it's great to meet you. Rich from the Finnish football show. You've been closely following it for over 10 years. And it's great that you've been able to join us today, mate. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thank you. Thank you again for the invite. Yeah, I've been doing this Finnish football stuff for about 10 years now, and been over mostly for family reasons. But yeah, it's been a lot more fun in the last couple of years than it was beforehand, I'll be honest.
Brilliant. Now, I mean, Rich, we'll start you. What's the atmosphere like in Finland at the moment behind the national team? Obviously, this summer you've had a great Euros, first time qualification, if I'm right. Has it really sort of galvanised the people there?
It has, yeah. I think that the last 2 or 3 years, really, since we're one of the beneficiaries of the Nations League. We got a bit of momentum there from doing well in League C and got promoted. Took that into qualification for Euro 2020. Obviously, that was delayed, and I mean, Finland came third in their group, but there has been a lot more optimism behind the national team. We've had years of sort of close calls and almosts and glorious failures, and some of the sort of star players that everyone recognises, they didn't make it there, and this team have. It's a lot stronger now than it was. I think going into this sort of qualification tournament, there was I'd say confidence, but they definitely compete for that second place in the group. I think they've had a reasonable record against Bosnia in the last couple of years, and they saw Ukraine not as we'll beat them, but I think being able to compete with teams of pedigree of Ukraine and Bosnia who've qualified for big tournaments in the past, then there is an optimism, and I think coming into this stage of the campaign with 4 games to go and they're still in contention, it's still technically in their hands. So yeah, people are generally very happy.
Yeah, that's good to hear. Good to hear. I mean, we're hoping you're not going to be as happy later in the week, but that's another story. I mean, Adnan, same with you. I mean, what's the atmosphere now in Bosnia regarding the team? It's, I guess, a bit different to Finland, where Bosnia's sort of star-studded team has got a little bit older, and there's a new generation coming through in Bosnia.
It's not perfect like a year before when we failed to qualify through the Nation League playoffs. It's not perfect. After that, we get the new head coach, the Bulgarian Ivailo Petev, and with him we didn't win for over than 1 year. In the September, we won the game against Kuwait, so that was our first win with him. So the atmosphere around the national team is not perfect.
It is a shame to hear. I mean, I remember, a few years back with the World Cup qualifications and everything, it looked like Bosnian football was on, the rise then. Who are the stars of the team now? Are they still the same players as in 2014, 2018, or are there
unfortunately the same players: Edin Dzeko, Pjanic, Kolasinac, and we're missing the few Asmir Begovic, the Everton goalkeeper. So, and there are the youngers are coming. Ahmed Hodzic from the Malmö, from the Sweden, the central defender. This summer, many clubs show interest in him, and also the striker Demirovic from Bundesliga is playing for Freiburg in Germany. So there can be some potential stars, but definitely Edin Dzeko and Miralem Pjanic are the top stars. But they are almost at the end of their careers.
Yeah, it's transition is something that we all talk about. Even with the Ukrainian team and Yarmolenko, don't we, Andrew?
Yeah, Yarmolenko, I guess, is the Ukrainian Dzeko. You could say aging, quite old, but he's still getting in the side. Not as old as Dzeko, I have to add, but still, they rely on him a fair bit. One thing I do want to add is there was news yesterday that Miralem Pjanic is actually not going to be in this squad because he's injured. So actually quite bad news for Bosnia and a semi-boost for Ukraine to get a draw.
Good for Ukraine, but for us he's a key player. So he injured I think it's a problem with the hamstring injury in Besiktas. He injured before 4 or 5 days. So
Rich,
there's going to be a problem for us.
Rich, now we all know about pookie parties and things like that, but who else should we be keeping an eye out on the game up there? I know, Andrew, you're heading up to Helsinki soon, aren't you?
Yeah. Well, it's strange. Like Finland's best individual is probably the goalkeeper, Lukas Radetsky, which says a lot, really. But I mean, he's been in fantastic form for club and country for 4 or 5 years now over in Germany as well. The midfield has been a lot better in the last couple of years since Glenn Kamara has come through, playing well and winning the title at Rangers. There are a couple of injuries. Actually, the captain, Tim Sparv, he's not in the squad. He's 34 now, and he's struggling for fitness generally, to be honest. And a couple of first team as well, O'Shaughnessy and Jere Urunen are missing out because of injury. So it's going to be missing 3 key starters from the team. So it's going to be a few sort of movements here and there to try and accommodate that. But yeah, definitely Kamara in the midfield is probably the most likely to be creative and to cause Ukraine a few problems, certainly going forward anyway.
I mean, just to dive in on that, Rich, a little bit. I mean, the game in Kiev and during the summer, we saw Finland set up quite defensively in a number of matches. Are we likely to see the same in this game, or are you going to come out and play a bit more, for want of a better phrase?
I'd be surprised, because I think Finland, they're in a position where they can't really afford to lose, and if Ukraine were to win that game, that would put a big gap between the two sides. They have played defensively really since qualifying for the Euros. They became more of a five at the back, and it's been quite difficult to get. There's been a big gap between the midfield and the strikers, and I think especially against teams who are in theory stronger than them, they're going to set up and hit them either down the wings or on the counter attack. And Teemu Pukki's not been in the greatest of form for Norwich since they've come back up, and I mean he's been doing really well for Finland up until the summer, but he's kind of the key for that, because he's so clinical. If he gets a chance in front of goal these days, you put money on him to score, but it's the issue is going to be getting the ball from the midfield up to him, and I think that's where Finland's troubles are going to be.
So is all the money on another 1-1 draw?
Yeah.
I mean, it's got to be the easiest prediction you're ever going to do.
I think so. I mean, we've joked on our podcast about Ukraine's record in this group, and to be honest, looking at it on paper, it's going to be Finland at home. They probably will score, but it's difficult to see them keeping a clean sheet. I mean, even against Kazakhstan, they came out generally quite attacking and looked quite positive against Kazakhstan, but then there's a big difference, certainly on paper, between Kazakhstan and Ukraine. So I think, and again, like I said, they can't afford to lose this one.
Yeah. I mean, Ray, do you see anything different? Any hope of the drawing run being broken at the weekend?
Yeah, we should see the lineup Petrakov is going to put out. I mean, it's a mystery, right? As he called up some, well, we could say some new names, as like Boyalski, and he's kept Karavayev after a controversy, as we know, right, in the press. So it seems like some teammates have vouched for him, so we will be keeping an eye on that. And I think closer to the game, we will realize how it's going to turn out. Are we going to expect a 19-minute winner from us or a 90-minute equalizer from Finland?
It's going to be one or the other. It certainly
Yeah.
is.
Don't forget that first. Don't forget the first game where Mikolenko had that crazy lapse of concentration and gave away that penalty. And this group could be looking slightly different going into this one had that not happened. And on the topic of that, Mikolenko didn't play today, and he wasn't involved in the matchday squad. What that's related to, I'm not sure, because I didn't actually go to the press conference in the next room because we were on the stream. But hopefully there might be some explanation as to whether Mikolenko's injured or what. But that would mean that Sobol is likely going to be the starting left back, especially without Zinchenko in the squad too. It's all piling up bad news-wise for Ukraine at the moment. And I mentioned on Twitter earlier, Alexander Zubkov, who's, usually the left winger, he's also didn't feature for his club today. So it's a bit worrying in terms of the injury news.
It makes scouting Ukraine very easy as well. So you just attack down that right side. So it's hoping for better news, but Mikolenko miss wouldn't be the worst thing in the world given his form this calendar year as well. I am a fan of Sobol myself. But I mean, Adnan, we say talking to Rich, obviously we had the game in Kiev against Finland in March. We've still got 2 games against Bosnia, and we haven't had such a good look at how Bosnia play. I mean, as you mentioned, it's been a bit of a struggle recently, but what sort of football can we expect to see in the game in Lviv next week?
Surely not going to be a football beauty.
Oh, great.
Surely. 1 or 2 mistakes can be decisive for the game. I'm not expecting too much goals. Maybe many of the game will be played in the midfield, and who can create one or two chances can score.
Okay. I think it's going to be
If
as
we're go-
exciting as tonight's Clasichne.
Potentially, but if we actually, well, Dzeko was here in Ukraine just last week at a game that I was at, and I think it's a good time to go back to this question quickly, just for Adam and Ray even. Do we think Piatov, if you've got a clean sheet against Dzeko, is he going to start for Zbudna in these next two matches? Or is Bushjan just going to be shooed in straight back in?
I'll let you go first, Ray.
I mean, did Piatov have a clean sheet against Sheriff? No, neither did Bushjan with Bayern Munich, right? So that's one of these choices you have to face. I know I would vouch for Bushjan because he's younger. He has better fitness, right? As you said, Rich, the players who are good at fitness should play.
Yeah.
For me, Bushjan hands down. After his performances in the summer, I think he deserves the spot. I haven't seen any mistakes from him since, the England game was the England game. But some of his saves means he's a shoo-in for me, guaranteed. I mean, how close is Piatov's joined the 100 club now, hasn't he? Am I right, or is he a couple of games short? Well, we've got the Bulgaria friendly before the end of the calendar year, so maybe bring him on for 5 minutes in one of the matches, and then we're done. Well, no, just for me, Bushjan hands down. It really is. Any more questions? No. I mean, Ray, what are your thoughts on the Bosnia game? Are you slightly more optimistic? I've been surprised listening to Adnan because I've still got visions of these fantastic Bosnian teams of, sort of 5-6 years ago. But I'm a lot more confident now going into this one. I think we could break the draw, but personally, I'd love to see 8 draws and us to go through still with 8 draws out of 8 games.
Like Italy in the World Cups.
Yeah, I mean, that's how you win tournaments, isn't it? By not losing.
It would actually be, I'd actually prefer not even to get out of the group, but just for 8 draws, because I think it would be some sort of record. I actually think it's currently a record, 5 consecutive draws in a World Cup qualifying from your opening 5. So if we get another one, probably against Finland as the next ones, it will be consecutive, which is not beyond the realm of possibility or doubts, then, a nice little record for Ukraine. And just to add, and when we're playing Bosnia, that will be the first meeting between both sides. I think it will be either Ukraine's 77th, 76th original opponent, and then they'll have like 2 or 3 left in all of Europe to face that they've never faced before, which is like Liechtenstein, which I'd love to do an away day to, and Belgium, which I'd rather not meet at this current moment in time.
Fair enough. We just had a question, guys, come through. I mean, who do we think will start at left wing for Ukraine? I assume that's, if it's not, Zubkov. Hopefully not Sigankov after his performances recently.
I think it will be. It'll be either him or Buletsa. And I don't think, even as much as Petrikov loves his under-20 stars, I don't think Buletsa's ready to be shooed in straight away for these big games. And it will be interesting. Petrikov's doing a press conference tomorrow at the start of this camp. And I'm sure that the main question is going to be about Malinovsky tomorrow. And hopefully it doesn't overshadow preparations or any sort of negative things. But we'll see. I think we should go around and see what predictions we're going to go for.
And just make sure no one discusses tactics with him tomorrow.
All right, then. Rich, prediction for the game.
Is it lazy to say a draw? I think, I think, as you said earlier, 1-1. I think from what we saw from the first game, Obviously, Ukraine was strong, and Finland got it at the end from a bit of a defensive mistake and Pukki pressure. But I think this time round, I think a draw, hopefully with less drama at the end. But yeah, I think with the injury problems Finland have got in defence, I think they'll be looking to tighten up the replacements, especially on the left side of the defence. They're not going to be as solid. So I think they'll be looking to consolidate what they've got. And yeah, I think a draw would be not ideal, but we'll take it.
Adnan, over to you. Prediction for the game in Lviv next week.
Close to the draw.
Close to the draw.
Yes, but these two matches for all other four teams will be crucial.
Mm-hmm.
This October matches can say everything for those four teams. Who secured the win in these two matches? They are closer to the second place.
Definitely so. Definitely so. Let's go up to Ray.
In terms of Bosnia game, I have these recurring images from match in Czech Republic when the first half, and let's be honest, almost like 75% of the time, we were squashed in our box. We were so lucky, so many times, huge pressure from the fans. Not really much we can do in terms of keeping the ball in the defensive line. As we saw, Ukrainian players are not that good at that yet. However, Dynamo will try that in the recent games against Bayern Munich and Shakhtar. They're not good at keeping the ball in their feet. And football is like that these days. So we're going to struggle real bad. Another drama for us. Let's hope it's not on the cards, but I would go for 2-1 to Ukraine in Bosnia. And for Finland, I would say, well, it's Lviv, guys. No one gets away from Lviv, So it's going to be 3 points for Ukraine. Obviously.
Ray, it's the other way around.
What do you mean?
Bosnia's in Lviv and Finland's away.
Okay, stop.
There we go. That's what we love about live streaming, everyone. Andrew, your turn.
Yeah, I've got a feeling that I'll be travelling all the way to Helsinki for a 0-0. My probably third 0-0 in a row of matches. I saw a 0-0 on Friday, today, and probably that one too. However, sorry, Adnan, but it's in Lviv. Ukraine have never lost there. It's known as the Ukrainian fortress. I think there'll be some sort of narrow 1-0, 2-1. Edin Dzeko is actually one of my favourite players of all time. Weirdly, no connection to Bosnia myself, but when he joined the Premier League, I had Man City shirts. I didn't even support Man City, but I just had Man City shirts with Dzeko on the back. Don't ask, I was a weird kid. But yeah, it will be cool to see him come up against Ukraine. Sort of a derby for me in that sense. But yeah, I'm going for a 1-0 or a 2-1 in that one.
Good.
Okay,
listening to Rich there talk about the left side of Finland's defence sort of put a smile on my face. I could see Yarmolenko. He is in the squad, isn't he, Andrew? Yeah, I've got to check on that one there. Maybe grabbing a couple of goals on that from on the right hand side there, and maybe a 2-1 in Helsinki. I'm going to go for, and yeah, it'll be a 2-1 in Lviv as well. I'm going for 6 points. I'm going to put it out there. Go full of confidence. Why not? It has to be done. I think. Would like though to come back to what you said there, the press conference tomorrow, and the Malinovsky narrative, because that does need to be avoided. I think this week, and I think the team needs to concentrate on the players who are there and not the players who are missing, because they're the ones that can do it on the pitch, and the ones that have been selected we know have got quality to perform anyway. So it's up to Malinovsky to come back in the future like Boyalski has done now. But that's it for today, everyone. I think Rich, Adnan, thank you so much for joining us. Now, Rich, just before you go, do you want to tell us a little bit about the podcast and how people can follow it and follow you?
So the Finnish Football Show podcast, it's 4 English guys with Finnish wives. 2 of us live in the UK, 2 in Finland. We've been talking about Finnish football on the podcast for about 6 years now. So we were there in the dark days when they went a year without winning as well. So that's the Finnish Football Show, and I'm on Twitter at Escape to Swarmy.
Yeah, thanks for that. How often did the shows go out?
Normally sort of two or 3 a month. We have normally a podcast like this, and then we have interviews with, I think we've done most of the Finland squad now. So we're rattling our way through there. And so we mix them up with interviews and anything controversial as well for our YouTube channel that has at least 12 subscribers.
Brilliant. You've doubled ours. Adnan, thanks so much for joining us as well. It's great to see you again. For people who don't know you, where can they follow you on the social media to follow your stories?
They can follow me on the Facebook and the Instagram. It's Adnan Salman. Just type it and you can follow me.
There you are. Fantastic.
Just one click and finish. Okay. Thank you very much, Adam, for inviting me again. I wish you very good night and have pleasant dreams. And I hope to speak to you soon after the game.
Definitely so. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Now, Ray, great as always. Been great to have you on, mate. For new people, new subscribers, what are your social medias?
Thanks, Adam. It's been a pleasure. Hope we've made some good headlines so far. So my Instagram page is Ray Vic.
There we go. And Andrew, pleasure as always, dear sir. You're coping well with all the travelling. Hope you get to see a goal sometime in the next month. Well,
So
you've been
do I.
struggling.
Actually, that's a lie. It's not even been. It's not even. Yeah, it's been. I was in Inter versus Shakhtar, which was 0-0, and then I went to Zaporizhia, which was Roma 3, Zorya 0. So no, I've not seen the Ukrainian side score since about 5 games ago. So hopefully that will change, at least for another draw of some sort next week. But yeah,
we'll ban you if you don't.
But yeah, you can follow me on Zorya Londonsk. Everyone who's enjoyed this stream, we'll be probably doing another one at some point in the future. We're enjoying these, having guests on. It's been a slightly different dynamic to the usual podcast without the visuals. And please subscribe to the YouTube channel. We've got a new episode of The Road Trip coming out tomorrow, hopefully, because I've been editing for ages and traveling's just been a pain in the butt. But I think we're almost done with that. And yeah, also, if you haven't entered our Krivbas football shirt giveaway on my Instagram, Zorya Londonsk, then you've got until midnight Ukraine time, which is 1 hour, to subscribe to the YouTube channel, comment on the post, and tag 2 friends. So that will be also done as a live stream on Instagram tomorrow evening at 11 p.m. Ukraine time. So that's going to be going home to someone watching, listening, or who is like that. And yeah, thanks for listening and watching, guys.
Yep, thanks a lot. And of course, I'm Adam at Ukrafort24. You can follow me across all the socials as well. This has been our second live stream. Been a lot of fun, as much as the first one. And can't wait to do another one sometime soon. But till then, everyone take care, stay safe. Goodbye for now.